Dear students, welcome to Bishop Academy online classes. Today we get discussed over the second chapter of economics, that is sectors of the Indian economy. Here we have to get discussed over the major points, characteristics of India in economic sphere. When we get discussed over economic activities, then we get three sectors, that is primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Entire economic activities get classified in these three groups. In primary sector, agriculture, mining etc. included, where production occurred directly from nature. What the advantages of primary sector? Here you find that it provides more employment as it didn't deserve modern machinery, tools, gadgets etc. All the activities are simple in nature, and here you find skill is also not essential as the activities are quite simple and it is dependent on nature. That's why the production goods could be seen abundantly. Along with it, simple tools are used. That's why it not need modern machinery and other equipments. Disadvantage, that it has a very small share in GDP. As you find, a farmer grow up wheat and sell it into what you called flour mill owner, and flour mill owner convert it into flour, and the value of wheat get increased, maybe double or up to 1.5 of the price get increased. When this flour purchased by bakery person, or you can say baker, then once again the value get increased. So you find that in primary activities the person only sell wheat and book a very small portion of profit. Even it fails in eliminating poverty, as the earning in this sector is quite low. Second, secondary sector, it is included of manufacturing and assembling activities. Advantages, it provide more income to the people and better goods once again to the people. Okay. Disadvantage, it fails to engage more workers, as in secondary sector we find that industrialization adopted. All of the production activities done with the use of modern machinery or heavy machinery, due to which work of too many persons could done by a few persons. That's why most of the person become unemployed. Even it created pollution, different type of pollution, noise pollution, air pollution, land pollution, or even thermal pollution. All type of pollution could be seen here. Next, that is tertiary sector, banking, transportation, research work etc. included in tertiary sector. This sector produce nothing, but it helps both these sectors in producing things properly, and also increase the value of secondary sector and primary sector's production. Advantages, it provide help and coordination to other sectors, and also it helps in increasing GDP. Disadvantage, it requires more skill and capital. For getting involved in tertiary sector like banking, transportation or even research, a person need too much money and goods or capital for acquiring certain type of licenses, and to help people it certain need a vast capital, either in form of money or in form of knowledge. And second disadvantage, it is a threat to equality. As person get involved in tertiary sector, their life standard started to raised day by day, and certainly it create a gap within the society in form of rich and poor. Now we have to compare these three sectors in Indian scenario. As you find, in 1973, primary sector contributed a very small portion in a small GDP. As you find, in 1973, our Indian economy is not as high as it is today. As you find, now our country is the sixth greatest economy of the world. But in 1973, the condition is very threatening. At that time, the primary sector contribute a lot in this GDP. But in 2003, you find that though the contribution of primary sector increased in value, means we started to grow more crops, and even you find that India is a country which import food grains, and now we be capable of exporting these food grains to most of the countries. But still this growth is not as fast as we see in secondary and tertiary sector. Even if we see the sphere of their contribution in GDP in percentage, the data become more clear. As in 1973, primary sector contributes 45% in total GDP, and in 2003, though it increased in number, but still its contribution is only 25% in GDP. So I think you could understand, though the production in primary sector increase, still other sector increase more rapidly than primary sector. That's why their contribution in GDP increased in percentage, also in value. Here you find, if we see the contribution of these sector in providing employment, then we find in 1973 this primary sector provide job to up to 82% population of our country, but in 2000 we find that only 60% people remain in this agriculture sector. Other people shifted to secondary sector or tertiary sector. As you see, even in your village or towns, most of the people forgive this agricultural work and get involved in secondary and tertiary sector. Like they started to managing shops, or even they started to provide various type of facilities to the people as professionals. Next, we have to get discussed over interdependence of these sectors. As you find, all these three sectors need help of each other, otherwise they could not survive. No one sector could grow on by its own. It need help of other two sectors. As primary sector get tools from secondary sectors, means methods, and mode from tertiary sector. These means, method and mode helps in increasing production with little effort. As you find, day by day the designing of plowshares or even the equipment which could be used during agriculture like tractors, harvesters, pumping set, etc. Entire these things are result of secondary and tertiary sector. Even new methods of planting saplings or preparation of agricultural land, use of chemical fertilizers, weedicides, pesticides, entire these things are result of the help of tertiary sector. What it provide to both these sectors? It provide food and labor to both sectors. Even it provide raw material to secondary sector. In absence of this raw material, secondary sector could not survive or even could not produce a single good or gadgets. Secondary sector get food and raw material from primary sector and means, methods and mode from tertiary sector, which increased production in secondary sector, and secondary sector become capable of producing more valuable goods, and it provide tools, machines and more valuable products to both sectors, that is primary sector and tertiary sectors. Tertiary sector get tools from secondary sector and food and labor from primary sector. And what it provide? Has both sectors with new advanced means, methods and modes to work easily. And it also works as a coordinator, means wherever there is a deficiency or there is a problem, this tertiary sector works to eliminate it. Now you have to know about the classifications of sectors on various bases. The first base is ownership. On the base of ownership, these sectors get divided into public sector and private sector. Even there is a combination of both these sectors which come to be known as public private partnership. Nowadays, in this age of globalization, this type of model is started to be flourished, but in at what you call at elementary level, we have not to study about this PPP, that is public private partnership. We have to get considered over public sectors and private sector. Public sector, it is owned and run by government. Whatever profit earned by public sector gone to government treasury, and government run various type of welfare programs in the society with the help of this money. Advantage, it is good for equality as the profit of the firm distributed among people. It is also helps in social justice as it helps in what you call developing backward region, and also provide prosperity with producing those things which are in need. As you find in present time, this COVID-19 scenario, this public sector is started to produce various type of ventilators, masks, sanitizers, entire these things with the help of people. Along with it, disadvantage, here you find these public sector could not compete with private sector due to their negligence of profit, as this sector do not work for profit, it just work for providing better facilities to the people and services and goods to the people. And that's why most of the public sector firms are failed in making profit. Private sector, it is owned and run by individuals. Advantages: it eliminates lack of goods, means in private sector the things which are in great demand and people could afford it, such type of goods and services started to be produced by private sector, and that's why society is much benefited with these luxurious goods preparing by these private sector. Disadvantage: it is only work for profit motive, and that's why it is very harmful for equality in society. As you find, after 1991, Indian government provide what you call preference to these private sector with the policy of LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. Here the question raised, why government could not provide importance to this private sector before 1991? There are various reasons responsible for that. First, India has bitter experience of MNC like East India Company. Along with it, India is a backward country. That's why the modern means and infrastructural facilities are not in abundant in India. That's why government have to invest in these core sectors of economy. That's why it become essential for government to control the means of production, and due to effort of these public sector firms, our GEMS firms, our country become capable of competing with these MNCs of modern time. Various MNCs in India like Tata and Birla, even TCS, various type Infosys, various type of companies are competing in international market due to this policy. And if such type of restriction could not impose before 1991, then there would be a disparity among society, means some person become too much powerful and wealthy and others have threat about their survival. Next division is on base of their recognition by the government. The sectors get divided into or classified into two groups: organized sectors and unorganized sectors. All those sectors that have been recognized by government are considered as organized sectors. Here people working with a lot of benefits like job security. Those persons get involved in these organized sector have job security, means no one can eliminate him at will of their selves. Along with it, they get reasonable wage, which is good for their survival. Even they get clean and healthy environment at their workplace, and they could also benefited with various type of perks, additional services like paid holidays, medical benefits, convenience charge, house rents, or even gratuity or pension after their retirements. So these are the benefits in working under organized sector. Second, unorganized sector, all those sectors or the firm that has been not recognized by the government are included under this sector. Here you find that people have to face a number of problems in which the very first and major problem is job insecurity, as such type of firms could eliminate any of its worker at any time without any reason. Even there are wages are nominal, means those get involved in unorganized sector, it become quite impossible for them to survive with the wage which they get in these sectors. And even the day on which they do not go on work, they get no wage for that particular day. In case of disease or casualties, people from unorganized sector suffer a lot. Even they have to work in unhealthy environment, and certainly they have to provide more unpaid work in this unorganized sector. These are the major drawbacks of unorganized sectors. That's why it becomes essential for government to convert most of the unorganized sector into organized sector. As you find nowadays, government introduce GST, that is goods and services tax, so that the most of the organized sector is started to be converted in organized sectors. Next topic, that is how to protect the workers in unorganized sector. As you find, the population growth need more goods and services which could not be provided to the people only with organized sector. That's why whenever there is a lack of goods and services, these private sector or called unorganized sector helps people. And as you find, after some time winter season get started, and at this sudden the demand for woolen cloths increased, and such demand could not be met by organized sectors. That's why various type of small factories started to function for producing sweaters or woolen cloths for people. And as the season get over, the factories get closed. So such type of factories are included under unorganized sectors. In unorganized sector, certain efforts could be done to improve the condition of workers which get involved in it. Among them, the very first is infrastructural development. This infrastructural development helps the people in movement, and due to it the people could get benefited with change in this unorganized sector, that is demand and supply. Due to it, the unorganized sectors people benefited. Second, provision for social security. Certainly, it's the responsibility of the government to provide health and education facilities to the people get involved in unorganized sector, as they could not earn sufficient to meet their food, shelter and clothings. So government have to contribute in providing them health and education facilities. Along with it, strict labor laws could also be implemented so that the owner of unorganized sector could not exploit the workers in these sectors. Next, by creating more employment facilities. Certainly, if we have more employment facilities, then this person get involved in unorganized sector have a lot of option. That's why they have a chance of escaping from exploitation. Next, that is development of cottage and small scale industries. This step would be capable of providing them employment to their doorsteps. That's why for getting wage they have not to expense too much. As a person which is living in this Maharajganj and have to go for earning better wage to Gorakhpur, then certainly the person have to paid a lot of amount in this transportation modes. Next, that is government sponsored work program in backward regions. As you find, to solve the problem of the people, government implement a nationwide employment generation program which come to be known as NREGA, that is NREGA, under which 100 days employment guaranteed to the family living within a village. Along with it, diversification of agriculture could also create more opportunities of agriculture people in rural areas. As the traditional way of agriculture like growing wheat and then paddy, then the person could get work in a limited period. And if we diversify the agriculture, that like you can say in Kharif or Rabi, there are various type of crops. In Kharif, at the place of this paddy, the farmers could grow sunflower, various type of vegetables. These entire things be deserve various type of labor at various time. Due to it, agricultural laborers get work throughout the lean period. Along with it, establishment of industries in backward region. This type of work could only be done by government, and government also tried its best to establish industries in backward region so that the people of that particular area get benefited with these establishment of industries. Now this chapter get completed. If you have any type of confusion or query, you could go on with Google Classroom. Thanks.